Alright, hey guys, just going to run through indicators really quick for people that don't quite understand them or remember them very much from biology. I apologize in advance for my awful handwriting, as per usual. I'll be following the packet. Right now I'm on page 2, all the way down at the bottom where it says how to know if a solution is acidic or basic. First thing we should probably know is what an indicator is. And again, I'm just going to kind of run through it. I'm not going to write necessarily everything. Just maybe make sure you double check on that PowerPoint. It's got all the things that you need on it. But indicators essentially are substances that change color if an acid or base is added. So the most important thing you need to know about them is that they change color. Oh, and my handwriting is extra awesome because of this beautiful pen. Indicators change color. Yep. Let me look at this. Now we're on. Alright, so now I'm on that next page. Acid-base indicators are definitely going to be found on your reference table. You're probably going to want to get that out. They are found on table M. And actually, I'm going to pull one up too. Let me just get the reference tables up. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay, so these are reference tables. We're going to be working with table M, which is right here. I'm just going to take this window. I'm just going to move that right over here. We're going to use this. Good. Okay, cool. So, acid-base indicators, it says, indicators narrowing down pH using multiple indicators, great, blah, blah. They give great range of colors, and they help us essentially narrow down and give us clues as to what kind of pH a substance has. So the most important parts are to remember that an acid obviously has a pH of above 7, if you remember that for biology, and a base has a pH of below. Ooh, just kidding. Already screwed that up. Yikes. Don't make that mistake. Oh boy. And that's okay, alright, so that's super awkward. Sorry, it's like, oh my god. Literally can't write or teach or speak. Let me fix that. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and apologize. It's like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm just a total idiot right now. Acid has a pH below 7, so anything from 1 till, anything from 1 to 6 is an acid. Low pH means very acidic. Anything above 7 is a base, so really high pHs. The scale goes all the way to 14, so anywhere above 7 all the way to 14 is very basic. Usually people are familiar with water being right around 7, which is considered about neutral, because it's halfway in between 1 and 14. Couple of tips. It says if the indicator changes to the listed color on table M, so we're going to use that in a second, but if it changes to the listed color, the pH is above. So let's do that. Above the pH range. If the indicator does not change, the pH is below the pH range. It also says the pH range does not indicate the solution has pH within that range. So let me really quick, let me just run right on over here to table M and kind of explain what that means. If, for example, I take a look at methyl orange. Methyl orange is a very specific type of indicator with a very specific pH range for a color change. It also tells you what colors methyl orange will change to. So if, for example, we have some sort of solution and we put methyl orange into that solution, it might stay red or it might change to yellow. So the idea is this. This 3.1 corresponds to the color red. That means any pH that's below 3.1 means methyl orange should be colored red. This right here, 4.4, corresponds to the color yellow. So any pH that is above 4.4 means that the indicator has changed yellow. Red corresponds to red, blue corresponds to blue. So it's kind of like in order. Red is on the left, blue is on the right. So like 3.1 corresponds to the color red, 4.4 corresponds to the color yellow. So if the indicator changes to the listed color, as in if the indicator changes into yellow, that means that the pH is higher than methyl orange's range. If it doesn't change, that means it's below this pH range, as in lower than 3.1. So here, for example, let me do this. Let's get rid of all this over here. Let's try and practice, because again, it's a little difficult for me to just explain it. Let me show you exactly how we're going to do it. Okay, so it says example 1 right over here. A solution has a pH of 5.5. What color changes will happen to the following indicators? So it gives us a couple of indicators, and it says we've got a solution that has a pH of 5.5. We need to figure out what color these indicators will turn when we put them into a solution with a 5.5 pH. So the first one we have is kind of the first one on the list. We talked about it a little bit. Methyl orange. So that's going to be right over here. Methyl orange, we already said, has a range of 3.1 to 4.4. Now, 5.5 is higher than that range. It's definitely higher than 4.4. That means we should definitely, actually, here, why don't I do it this way? We're definitely going to be on the higher end, so we're going to use that, okay? So because our pH is higher than the pH range of methyl orange, that means that methyl orange should turn yellow. It starts out red, and if we go higher than 4.4, it turns to yellow. So if I get rid of that, methyl orange should be yellow, which is very intuitive because I've just written it in blue. Okay, so number 2, so a different indicator, it says bromthiamyl blue. If I look at bromthiamyl blue now, so let's get rid of these, and actually let's slide this reference table over just a little bit. Glad that, oh, just kidding, get rid of this. Okay. Okay, good. All right. So we're looking at bromthiamyl blue, which is this guy. The pH range is 6.0 to 7.6, and it says that it changes from yellow to blue. The pH range that the pH that we're working with, like we said, is 5.5. So 5.5 looks like it's lower than this pH range. It's under 6.0. So that means if we're under 6.0, that means we shouldn't change to blue at all. We should remain yellow. So that means this bromthiamyl blue should also be yellow. Okay, let's take a look at Brom-Kressel green. Brom-Kressel green is right over here. The pH range is 3.8 to 5.4, and it changes from yellow to blue. Here, 5.5 is just a little higher than that range, which means that Brom-Kressel green should definitely change color from yellow to blue. So because the pH range is definitely higher, like the 5.5 is definitely higher than the pH range, that means we should be a blue color. Finally, we have Thymol blue. Thymol blue is this last one right over here. It says the pH range is 8.0 to 9.6, and it changes from yellow to blue. 5.5, again, 5.5, is much lower than 8.0. It's definitely on the lower side. It's not higher than that pH range, so it's not going to turn to blue. It's going to remain yellow. Yellow. Okay. That's like I don't know, that's the really quick explanation of how to use Table M here. Oh, good. Here, how do I get rid of that? Oh my god. This is awkward. Hold on. Okay, hold on, I got it. Ah, awesome, I'm so good at this game. Okay. Let's take a look at the next example. It says, a solution yields the following results when tested with various indicators. So it gives you this here. Now we're giving you this information. We're saying that we put methyl orange in the solution, and the methyl orange turned to a yellow color. We put phenolphthalein into this same solution, and it turned clear or colorless. And we put Brom-Kressel green, it turned blue in the solution, and then we also put Thymol blue in it, and it turned yellow. So it gives us, again, it gives us these clues, and we have to figure out, out of these options down here, we have to figure out which one of these it could possibly be. Now, we could do this one of two ways. We could kind of like try and reason out, for example, based on this information and this information right here, we can try and reason out like what kind of pH we're looking for. Not necessarily a bad idea. I think it might be a little bit easier, though, to say use these multiple choice answers, plug them in, like we could just pick one and we could try it and we could see if it works. I think that's probably the best option because, I mean, it is a multiple choice answer. The worst thing that'll happen is that we try the problem 4 times, in which case one of them has to be right. So let's go ahead and let's actually just start with this one. We'll see if 2.8 as a pH works, and if it fits all of the clues that we have here, then that means we know that we've done it correctly. So let's go ahead and try it. If we're trying 2.8 as our pH, it says methyl orange turned yellow. So let's just start with that one. Well, in order for methyl orange to be yellow, let me just switch over to the highlighter. There we go. In order for methyl orange to be yellow, we need to be higher than this pH range. We need to be above 4.4. Right away, I can see that 2.8 is not higher than 4.4. So that's not a good thing. So let's undo all of that, because we already know that it's definitely not 2.8. Let's try the next one, 6.5. Now, same thing, I'm going to start with methyl orange. In order for it to be yellow, it's got to be higher than this pH range. It's got to be higher than 4.4. That checks out so far. So 6.5 is definitely higher than 4.4. But we're not quite done yet, because that only works for this first clue. If I take a look at the second clue, it says phenolphthalein turns clear or colorless. So phenolphthalein, it says, in order for it to be colorless, it's got to be lower than this pH range. So it's got to be lower than 8. That checks out as well. 6.5 is definitely lower than 8. So far we're on the right track. But we can't be certain just yet, because that's only 2 clues that we've gotten. Let's try the next one here. It says Bromkressel green turns blue. So I'm looking over here. In order for Bromkressel green to be blue, it's got to be higher than this pH range, higher than 5.4. That checks out. 6.5 is definitely higher than 5.4. Okay, so we got one more clue to check. It says thymal blue has to be yellow. In order for thymal blue to be yellow, we have to be lower than this pH range. That also checks out. 6.5 definitely lower than 8.0. So far that looks like the answer to me, because it fits all of these clues right here. I'm going to check really quick just to see and make sure that the other two aren't correct. Well, a really quick scan, I'm thinking, let's see. Ooh, I can already see this one is not right. Because 4.8, if I'm looking, I think it's the Bromkressel green one. Bromkressel green, it says, has to be blue. That means we've got to be higher than this pH range. 4.8 is definitely not higher than that pH range. So I can see that that's wrong. And 8.5, let's see if I take a quick scan. Ooh, I think... Alright, so there's like a couple of them here. I'm taking a look at 8.5, and it's definitely not working. I'm looking at phenolphthalein, and I could also be looking, I guess, at thymal blue. Phenolphthalein, it says it has to be clear or colorless. That means it's got to be lower than the pH range. 8.5 is not lower than 8, so that doesn't really work. Also, thymal blue, it says thymal blue has to be yellow. That also means lower than this pH range, and it's not quite lower. So both of those things don't work. So it's definitely not going to be 8.5, and it's definitely not going to be 4.8, which means that the one that we found before, 6.5, choice B, is definitely the right answer. Okay. Let's move on to that third example. It says a solution is tested and the following results are obtained. Methyl orange turns yellow, bromthymal blue turns yellow, litmus turns red. This time it's not a multiple choice question. It says what is the possible pH? So this one we kind of have to give an actual pH based on these clues and obviously this table, and figure out what actual pH it has. So if I take a quick look really fast, we've got methyl orange turns yellow. So if I go over to methyl orange, in order for it to turn yellow, it's got to be higher than this pH range. It's got to be higher than 4.4. So I already know that my pH, whatever it is, has to be higher than 4.4. So maybe even what I'll do is I'll just write higher than 4.4. That's just to start. Obviously, that's just what we got from this. So let's take a look at that second part. It says bromthymal blue turns yellow. So if I look at bromthymal blue, in order for it to be yellow, it has to be lower than this pH range. So it's got to be lower than 6. We also decided that it was going to be higher than 4.4. So right now I've got kind of a little range already. it's got to be somewhere between 4.4 and 6.0. That x is just obviously our variable, our mystery pH. We don't know what that is yet. So I'm saying that 4.4 and 6.0 are like our limits here. X has to be somewhere between those two numbers. So 4.4 is less than x is less than 6.0. If maybe it makes more sense, maybe this makes more sense. I don't know. Let's see. Let's get rid of this arrow. If you think about it kind of like this, like a scale, we're saying that 4.4 is all the way over here, 6.0 is all the way over there. We have to be somewhere in between 4.4 and 6.0, but we're not quite sure yet. So I'm going to get rid of this up here. That kind of satisfies that second clue. Let's take a look at that last one. It says litmus turns red. So there's litmus. And it turns red. That means it's got to be lower than 4.5. Huh. So that's interesting. That's right over here. Let's see. So 4.5, that kind of knocks most of these numbers out of the park, right? Like, we've got to be lower than 4.5, but we also have to be higher than 4.4. So it's definitely not anything in here. So I can actually even just get rid of that. So again, just as a quick recap, methyl orange had to be yellow. That means that 4.4 is our lower boundary there. Litmus had to be red, which made 4.5 our other boundary, which means our pH has to be somewhere between 4.4 and 4.5. You probably could have put either one of those. You could have put maybe 4.4. You could have put 4.5. Maybe even get real crazy. You put 4.45. That'd be smack dab in the middle. But any one of those pHs is probably good right in here. All right, let's get rid of that. I'm like using this pen and it's not very good at, or maybe I'm just not good at using this pen, I have no idea. Okay, so that's essentially all of the indicator stuff. I mean, we've covered pretty much everything that we need to, I think. I think we're good. I am going to, during the next video, which I'll probably make like right now, I guess, but I'm going to cover this, the pH scale, and what the power of hydronium and what pH actually means. It's probably a little bit different than from what you remember from living environment. Most people know the pH scale. This is going to be a little bit trickier. So I'm going to make my own video for this one. Again, I apologize for the bad handwriting. I'm also kind of getting used to making videos, so, whatever. I apologize for my garbage video. Hope it helped a little bit, but if it didn't, you can complain to me when you come back from spring break, I guess. I don't care. But yeah, see you later.